is for you parents out there with a highly sensitive or neurodivergent child and you're planning to go to Disney's Animal Kingdom. You know how important it is to evaluate and consider how intense each attraction might be to avoid potential meltdowns. Disney World isn't filled with tons of roller coasters like you'd find at Six Flags, Universal, or even other theme parks. But Expedition Everest, found at Disney's Animal Kingdom, is arguably one of the more thrilling roller coasters that you can find at Disney World due to the towering mountain, fast speeds, and dramatic encounters with the infamous Yeti. In this video, we'll break down the key details of Expedition Everest to help you decide if it's a good fit for your family. We'll explore everything from the ride's queue, the sensory triggers like speed, darkness, and scary visuals. Expedition Everest, formerly known as Expedition Everest, Legend of the Forbidden Mountain, opened April 7, 2006 as the tallest and most expensive of Disney's mountain attractions. The ride is themed after a dangerous trek up Mount Everest, where explorers encounter the mysterious Yeti who is said to guard the mountain. This attraction was created with incredible attention to detail, featuring authentic props, real items from Nepal, and an intricate storyline that adds to the sense of adventure and suspense. So Expedition Everest is found at Disney's Animal Kingdom in the Asia section of the park. It's kind of near the edge of Asia, close to the Finding Nemo musical. On the other side of Expedition Everest, the closest attraction you'll see is Cali River Rapids, which is a fun little water ride. And further down, heading towards Africa, you'll also find the Feathered Friends in Flight show, which features birds, which is a really fun one for us. You can easily see the almost 200-foot tall mountain from different parts of the park, and it's one of the most iconic rides in Animal Kingdom. The queue for Expedition Everest is probably one of the most immersive at Disney World, as it winds you through a detailed Himalayan village filled with artifacts, prayer flags, and Yeti-related folklore. And while the queue is mostly outdoors and partially shaded, it can get hot and crowded during peak times. There is also an indoor part of the queue that does have a lot of really interesting artifacts. It kind of feels like a museum in there, and it definitely plays up the story about Mount Everest and that Yeti. And it can help with distracting your kids while waiting, but if your child struggles with long waits or tight spaces, the crowded queue, especially indoors, could be a little bit challenging. There is also a lightning lane and a single rider lane that you can use that will bypass most of the theming and storytelling that comes from the standby queue. If you're not sure where to find the single rider queue, you're going to head to the right of the main entrance of the ride, and you'll see a small sign that says single rider entrance, and you'll head in through there. Make sure you're only using the single rider queue if you are okay with your party being split up, or maybe if it's only one adult in your group that wants to ride, this is a great alternative. As you can see, you're virtually skipping all the theming and artifacts from the main standby queue. Expedition Everest lasts about 4 minutes long, making it one of the longer thrill rides in Disney World. The ride vehicle is a rugged train designed to feel like an expedition up the mountain, and each row fits 2 passengers, and individual lap bars will secure you during your ride. There is a 44-inch height requirement in order to ride Expedition Everest. If you have children who are too short or maybe even too scared to ride, you can utilize the rider switch service so that those who want to ride can still ride while still being able to supervise the children who can't or don't want to ride. Wait times for Expedition Everest can really vary a lot depending on the season and the time of day, but I would say it kind of ranges between 30 to 60 minutes, but it is included in the Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, which is a paid system that can help you skip the standby line and reduce wait time. This can be especially helpful if your child struggles with waiting in line for too long. Also, early mornings or late evenings tend to have shorter waits as well. If you're a Disney Resort guest, you'll find that Expedition Everest is open during early entry, and this is a perk for those staying on site where you can enter the park 30 minutes earlier than everyone else. I already mentioned Expedition Everest is one of the few attractions at Disney that offers a single rider queue. My husband and I have used this often to get on this ride with minimal waiting when our kids didn't want to ride. Now let's take a deeper look at 10 different sensory factors of Expedition Everest to help you determine whether it might be too scary or overwhelming for your highly sensitive child. Expedition Everest has some sudden noises throughout the ride, such as the clatter of the train on the track, some dramatic music, and the roars of the Yeti. While these sounds are brief and part of the ride's theming, they can be startling for kids who are sensitive to sudden noises. In terms of how loud this ride is overall, this is not a quiet ride. Between the sound of the train rolling on the tracks, riders screaming in delight or fear, and the sound effects of the Yeti, it is a lot of auditory stimulation. The screams of the riders especially can be heard from all different parts of the park. While most of the ride takes place outdoors, there are moments of darkness when the train enters caves and tunnels. The most intense dark moment is when the train reaches the end of the track and you realize the track is broken, and then the train plunges backwards into the mountain, which is pitch black dark. This can be quite disorienting for sensitive kids who are uncomfortable with the dark and sudden movements. If drastic changes in lighting is overstimulating for you, this might be a problem on Expedition Everest. The lighting does change when the train enters the cave, since you're going from outside and then suddenly into the darkness. You'll also notice that in the final scene, when you see the Yeti animatronic, it involves some flashing strobe lights. Expedition Everest is one of the faster rides at Disney World, reaching speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. The combination of speed, sharp turns, and the backward section can be overwhelming for kids who are sensitive to fast motion. The backwards portion of the ride in particular can feel intense as it's completely in the dark. Even though it is in the top 5 fastest rides at Disney World, the smooth track and theming can make the ride feel more fun than scary. The ride does feature a significant drop of about 80 feet, which is one of the more scarier elements for kids who are sensitive to changes in height or sudden drops. This drop happens after the train reaches the highest part of the mountain and then plunges forward down the side of Everest. The drop is fairly steep and can cause that classic stomach and throat feeling. Expedition Everest also has a backwards helix, which is like an inverted drop, and it sends you up an incline instead of down, and that sensation of going backwards can make many riders feel like it's an actual drop, but you're actually being pulled upwards instead of dropping down. But this section can still be pretty intense. Clearly, the images of the Yeti throughout the ride and seeing the broken track could feel pretty scary for sensitive kids. The looming animatronic, even though it doesn't move anymore, that Yeti can be pretty scary for some kids, especially if you're pairing that with the darkness and the fast movements. Those who are afraid of heights should be aware that there is a section where you climb slowly over 100 feet up the mountain before coming to a full stop for about 10 seconds, where you see that broken track again. The view from up here might be enjoyable to some, while totally fear-inducing for others. The queue can feel a little bit crowded during peak times, as I already mentioned. However, the ride itself doesn't really feel too cramped. You'll be seated next to your own party in a small train car, as long as you're not using the single rider line, and you have your own individual lap bars. The train cars are open air, which gives riders some breathing room, but the darkness in the caves could make it feel a little bit more confined. Using lightning lane or single rider queue can be helpful ways to avoid the crowded standby queue if that is a major concern for you. There are no notable, strong, or unusual smells on this ride, making this a safe option for kids who are sensitive to smells. Expedition Everest is a completely dry attraction, although you'll see some waterfalls while rolling along the tracks like you'll see right now. It is a high-speed roller coaster without water elements, so if you're trying to avoid attractions where you can potentially get wet, you'll be safe here. With a final sensory rating of 29 out of 50, Expedition Everest does fall on the more intense side of Disney rides. Its fast speeds, significant drop, moments of darkness, and sudden visuals of the Yeti can be overwhelming for highly sensitive or anxious kids. Going backwards in the dark as well as seeing the Yeti are two reasons why my 8-year-old still doesn't really want to ride this. So if your child is hesitant about thrill rides or has struggled with other fast-moving attractions, you might want to hold off on this one, or you could also try preparing them by watching ride videos ahead of time. For kids who enjoy roller coasters and are ready for a more intense experience, Expedition Everest is really a top tier ride that offers a lot of excitement and fun. All the details that the Imagineers put into the theming throughout the queue and the ride itself is really top notch. I may also be biased because this is probably like my second favorite roller coaster at Disney World. So, have you taken your kids on Expedition Everest? How did they handle it? Share your experience in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel and share this video with someone else that might find it helpful as well. I'd also love to connect with you on any of the socials. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, so you can stay updated with all my latest tips on navigating Disney and family travel with highly sensitive and neurodivergent kids. Now enjoy the rest of the ride footage that I took in April 2025.